What's poppin', guys? Aether here, and this is the start of a new series called Deck Deconstruction. Here, we're going to be taking apart and discussing popular decks with the players who made them. For the very first episode, we'll be talking about Runefire. Now, Runefire is a deck focused on the unique strategy of using both Runestone and Firescale, two resources which are exclusive to their respective factions. Building the deck this way gives them access to a variety of options in aggression and control, and it only has a small sacrifice in terms of consistency. It's a heck of a deck to fight and play against. What's on screen right now is a sample deck list you can start to tinker with if you're going to try and run this deck. Let's quickly go over a few key cards to the deck strategy. First up is Meteoric Dragon. Meteoric Dragon is a card that's flexible in its offense and its defense. It can quickly become a huge issue for your opponent before they know it. Another pretty important card is Runetech Rift. Rift is a card that's been seeing more play due to the control aspects of it. It can really help buy you more time. Being able to block off a column is powerful, and it can force your opponent to have to deal with a Meteoric Dragon whose attack is getting higher every turn. Lastly, there's a few obvious staples based on the resources used, cards like Force Feedback, Dragonic Scout, Orbital Station Deimos, and Cyclonian Foresight. Runefire is a powerful strategy which makes no sacrifices in any quadrant. Of course, any deck based in two exclusive resources will have some consistency problems when it comes to planets, so cards like Runetech Rift will also be a good counter to the deck. It's also a good idea to save your removal for when Meteoric Dragon hits the field. Compared to everything else in the deck, Meteoric Dragon is the biggest thing to fear. Now that was a bit of a quick overview of the deck, and for the rest of the video, I have a bit of a discussion with Orange from PillarsTCG about how he came up with the deck idea and what he thinks about some of these questions. And in the background, I'll just play some untapped footage of me using the deck online. What was the original idea for Runefire like? How did you stumble upon it?
So my original idea was actually to try to build a burn deck.
Absolutely.
So not at all how this deck went, but then I realized burn decks just don't work in set 1 of Astronomica because there's not enough controls to supplement that. But my thought process was using the Babylon Force cards to do the burn, and then the Kikitos Council is just, in my opinion, the best faction for support, so that's where the idea stemmed from.
Makes sense. So the deck is mainly focused on Runestone and Firescale. Why Runestone over a resource like Auralite or Mithril?
Because I just feel like it gives a lot more support to any given deck. There is a lot of Mithril ran in the deck, but that's mostly because it works well with the Runestone. But I wanted to have a deck like this does want to still be able to run some of those like cheap, strong cards like your Runeward Protectors, as well as nice tech like Divination Shackles.
So I guess coming off from the last question, what cards do you consider key to the deck strategy?
So this is actually going to be interesting because it's the main card that a lot of people would say is your Meteoric Dragon. Mostly because this is the deck, at least I personally have seen him shine the most in, due to the kind of support you can give it. The main cards for the deck, though, I would say are Hem and surprisingly Runetech Rift, which I would say surprisingly because I have not seen every single Runefire deck run Runetech Rift.
Yeah, Runetech Rift is a little bit of a sleeper card. I know when designing it, I didn't expect it to be as impactful as it turned out to be. Being able to freeze mobility is very powerful.
The big part of it is if you look at the deck list, there's hardly anything to really deal with strong, like, boss creatures. And in general, there's actually not a lot of creatures to play on your field. So using that Runetech Rift to just mitigate it so you're only playing in 1 or 2 lanes rather than 3 is incredibly important. And then on top of that, Runetech Rift obviously messes up your playstyle at times, which Meteor Dragon can remove from the field by flipping the planet you play it on. So like what I've done to win some games is I notice I need to only deal 1 more damage, and so at my turn I just explore the planet in front of my Runetech Rift, get rid of my Runetech Rift, either move over my dragon or play a Draconic Scout and win.
Lastly, do you think Runefire has what it takes to become a top-tier deck and have a competitive impact?
I would definitely say so. It's already beaten the top-tier decks. So I don't see why it isn't going to some more. See, what this deck can do is, say you have the Mono Mithril deck. That is clearly the best deck in the game, right? This deck just is usually able to still deal a good amount of damage to that, because you have support with your Mithril Sorceress to kind of remove their cards as they get played, to stall them out. You've got Babel Berserkers, you've got Deimos, you've got Draconic Scout, you've got your Force Feedback. There's just a lot that can help you try to control them, but especially that Runetech Rift, because it doesn't matter about consistency as much when you can only play in 1 or 2 lanes anyways.
Alright, that's gonna do it for this episode of Deck Deconstruction. I'll have a link to PillarsTCG's channel in the description below. Go check out his work, it's awesome. And as always, like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you loved it, and I hope to see you again in the next video. Take care.